Creating a video game is no easy feat. While there are a ton of success stories from both big devs and indie makers, in the history of all things gaming, there have also been some major fails and disasters on both a content and financial level. Some of those disasters are definitely bigger than others, so today we are counting out some of our favorite F-ups with our list of the top 10 video game fails. Let's jump in. And at number 10, Virtual Boy. Let's start off our list with a clunky failure called the Virtual Boy. This console, developed and manufactured by Nintendo, promised to be the first 3D gaming console back in 1995. It was almost set up to fail, really. Lead Nintendo game designer Miyamoto had barely any involvement in its development, its technology had to be scaled down due to high costs and the fact that it posed potential health concerns, and when it was released, it was pushed to the market unfinished, with Nintendo's development priorities shifting to the N64 instead. But those weren't the only reasons it bombed. The 3D it did offer was unimpressive at best. The console price was high, it had a monochrome display, it wasn't really all that portable as promised, and it boasted a ton of those health concerns that we mentioned previously. Even when Nintendo dropped the sale price, the console still didn't pick up, making it a total failure. From one console to the next, here at number 9 we have the SEGA SATURN. The successor to the Genesis came out in 1994 in Japan, releasing at the same time as Sony's PlayStation, the original PS1, as a competitor. Seeing how well it was doing in Japan, SEGA wanted to compete in North America too, so they rushed the release of the system, bumping it to May of 1995 instead of September of 1995, which all retailers and third-party developers had been initially anticipating. So yeah, that didn't go over well. There was minimal time to promote the system and it only had 6 games available at launch. Then at E3, Sony decided to tear SEGA a new one by announcing the price of their PlayStation, dropping $100, which was $100 less than the SEGA Saturn. SEGA would follow suit the next day by lowering their price of the Saturn, but the cost of manufacturing the Saturn was greater than it was for Sony to manufacture the PlayStation, so they did lose out significantly on the financial front. Plus, the sales and PlayStation games did better than anticipated, with Tekken beating out Sega's Virtua Fighter. But the SEGA Saturn isn't the only problematic decision that SEGA has made over the years. And at number 8, Sonic the Hedgehog. No, we're not talking about the original 1991 SEGA classic here. Instead, we're talking about Sonic in general. Now, hardcore Sonic fans, fret not, this isn't going to be a point insulting the blue blur. Rather, I'm going after SEGA once again. If you've seen any of the Sonic theme lists on our channel, you know I've got some major beef with SEGA when it comes to the decline in quality of Sonic games, and just the shady things they do in general. SEGA in recent years has been notorious for pumping out underdeveloped Sonic games. The rumor mill has it, and accounts from ex-employees, that Sonic team over at SEGA had, at one point, reached a breaking point, and were also overproducing Sonic games. It showed. But unfortunately for them, that's one of the only crucial ways that SEGA actually makes money. But also unfortunately for them, pumping out terrible Sonic games often means a commercial failure. Case in point, Sonic Boom, the 2014 spin-off series. The Shattered Crystal title is considered one of the worst video games of all time by many critics thanks to glitches galore and poor writing. Shattered Crystal and its counterpart, Rise of Lyric, only sold approximately 490,000. Yeah, that's combined, making them the biggest failure in the Sonic franchise. I mean, at least the cartoon isn't that terrible. And at 7, Sonic Runners. Oh look, more Sonic. Another game in the franchise also considered a financial failure is the 2015 title Sonic Runners, the game exclusively for mobile phones, which made too little money, and by 2016, a year after its release, it was discontinued. Nintendo Life wrote a scathing review of it in which they noted that its failure was proof that the recognizability of a brand does not guarantee success. Considering Sonic was literally invented to compete with Nintendo's Mario, it sounds like they don't mind not holding back. Oh Sonic, oh SEGA. Don't even get us started on Sonic 06, that game is horrifically untouchable at this point. Sorry to any of you out there who actually liked it. And at number 6, the Nokia N-GAGE. This one personally hurts my heart. So back in 2003, Nokia decided to get in on the gaming console craze and crafted a mobile device that also functioned as a handheld gaming console. This was before well-developed mobile games were actually a thing, friends. Anywho, the system was immediately mocked, some people thought it looked like a taco, and Nokia dropped the price by $100 within the first week of its release. Essentially, the console was just trying to do too much. It was a phone, it was a gaming system, and it was jam-packed with a lot of other features that weren't executed in the most user-friendly or efficient ways. It also couldn't compete with the Game Boy Advance, the Sony PSP, or the Nintendo DS. But you know what? This guy had one and loved it to death. Haters gonna hate. stand by that thing. Up next, number 5, No Man's Sky. It's hard to call No Man's Sky a fail. Currently, the developers behind the game, Hello Games, really upped their game. No pun intended there, guys. Ugh. And have updated it and added so much additional content to it that it's finally shaping up to be the game that it was initially intended to be. But back when it was first released in August of 2016, it was considered a major disappointment. Many of the game mechanics and features that had been promised in the game's marketing weren't actually there, and it fell short big time. And for a while, it was seen as one of the biggest dev failures in all video game history. Since, Hello Games has put in a solid effort, as well as a slew of apologies, and it's definitely a game worth going back to. At least one of these numbers on our list has a happy ending. In at 4, the 3DO Interactive Multiplayer. Ever hear of the 3DO Interactive Multiplayer? Yeah, probably not. This system, marketed by Electronic Arts founder Trip Hawkins, was a 1993 console that was supposed to be more than a video game console. It was supposed to be a whole family entertainment device. And honestly, it could have had a shot at doing alright at the time if it weren't for how outrageously priced it was. It went for $699.95 US, a price point that the company refused to lower. After the console failed, the company worked as a third-party developer for a few years before finally filing for bankruptcy in 2003. Up next, number 3, E.T. the Extraterrestrial. E.T., the game adaptation of Steven Spielberg's 1982 blockbuster hit, has gone down in history as one of the worst video games ever produced. It was so bad that it actually played a big role in the eventual bankruptcy of Atari, and also played a massive role in the video game crash of 1983, in which almost all hope was lost for home video game consoles until Nintendo basically resurrected the industry. So, how did it get to be so bad? Well, it was coded within 5 weeks as a means of getting it out for the holiday season in 1982. Atari had ordered 5 million copies of the game to be produced and only sold 1.5 million, with many of the cartridges that were sold being returned for how awful the game turned out to be. But perhaps one of the best parts about this utter disaster was the fact that Atari literally buried thousands of copies of the game in New Mexico, along with other titles of theirs that did not sell, something that was an urban legend for years until it was confirmed in 2014, with Atari personnel confirming that 800,000 cartridges of poorly selling games were buried at the landfill. And at number 2, Tiger Telematics. Tiger Telematics is the company behind the worst-selling video game console of all time, the Gizmondo. It's a Swedish company that began back in 2002. Get this, that began as a merger between an electronics distributor and a carpet retailer from Florida. Weird, huh? Well, it gets stranger. The company released a gaming console called the Gizmondo, which it spent a crap ton of money promoting, including the likes of ridiculously expensive and luxurious parties and a ton of sponsored events. When the system actually came out, it only sold 25,000 units, and only had one game at the time of its launch in the UK. When it came to the US, it had 8 more titles, and 30 were in development when Tiger Telematics finally went bankrupt. In addition to that, the head of the company was a fellow named Stefan Eriksson. Stefan Eriksson turned out to be the head of a Swedish mafia organization and got hit with a bunch of criminal charges. And after the company went bankrupt, he crashed his Ferrari and got arrested. Many people feel that Eriksson was Tiger Telematics' downfall. And finally, in at number 1, Star Wars Battlefront 2. We've talked about a whole lot of failures on this list, but none are as bad as the saga of complete failure that came out of EA with Star Wars Battlefront 2 back in 2017. My apologies if this is triggering still to some of you out there. So, long story short, when Battlefront 2 was released, it got a whole lot of heat concerning loot boxes, a tactic that was increasingly more evident in EA titles leading up to Battlefront 2. Buying loot boxes with real-life money gave players a significant gameplay advantage. It wasn't just cosmetic, so yeah, it was incredibly unfair. When EA was questioned about it, their community team posted on Reddit, and their comment on Reddit became the single most downvoted comment on the site at that time. Seeing the backlash, they temporarily removed the microtransactions, but the damage was already done. It spawned a whole online debate about the ethics of loot boxes and microtransactions, with politicians even getting in on it, likening them to gambling and having a negative influence on younger players. Eventually, EA managed to revise their microtransactions, making them only cosmetic in the game rather than loot boxes that affected gameplay itself. Despite the game offering a solid multiplayer experience, the controversy around it tainted its reputation, and it hit EA real damn hard. Alright, there we have it, friends. There's a ton of other video game failures out there, from titles to consoles to commercial flip-flops, that we didn't even get the chance to touch on this list. So if you'd like a part 2, make sure you give us a shout in those comments below and like this video. While you're at it, why not hang out with us some more and click subscribe. We've also got a nifty little playlist currently flashing on your screen with other fun gaming videos, so go on, click it, check it out. In the meantime though, thanks for watching, friends. I'll catch you all in the next video.